Buenos días mi gente, bienvenidos a mi canal. Hoy vamos a hablar sobre el acento argentino y cómo podemos lograr entenderlos. Con la creciente fama de los argentinos, sea de su comida, su vino o sus cumbias, y el hecho de que se han migrado a varias partes del mundo, el acento argentino es un acento que se escucha cada vez más hoy en día. Hoy vamos a hablar sobre los trucos para entenderlos, los cambios de pronunciación y la jerga que vas a necesitar para poder platicar con tu nuevo compa argentino. Si estás listo para entrar al mundo de los argentinos, este es el video para ti. Vámonos.
So let's talk about the Argentinian accent. So there is a variety of different accents you'll find throughout Argentina. Specifically, probably maybe the most common one you'll hear is the one from Buenos Aires, right? But they also have various different accents in every major city you go to, including Rosario, including Córdoba, including Mendoza. And as you go towards the south, they're going to speak even differently, right? And the normal Argentinian accent has quite a few pronunciation differences from standard Spanish, and today I want to go into those so that you can be paying attention to them the next time you're talking with an Argentinian, and hopefully it'll help you decipher what he's saying and be able to understand them, engage in conversation. So the first pronunciation difference is the difference between Y and double L as compared to regular Spanish. So in standard Spanish, the Y and the L, there's no difference, right? And in most languages, in most dialects of Spanish, there's no difference. Y or double L is pronounced like it's pronounced like Y and yes or yellow. Yo me llamo. I call myself. However, in Argentina and also Uruguay and possibly Paraguay as well, that Y double L sound, ya, becomes a sh. So it's no longer yo me llamo, it's sho me llamo, shogu, shoana. Honestly, going to Argentina kind of feels like going to the library because you're just constantly getting shushed. Sho me llamo, shoana. Another key difference with Argentinian Spanish, and this is actually a pretty common feature in most places. Chile does this, Spain does this, the Caribbean coasts of most of Latin America does this, the islands do this, is the dropping of the S at the end of words. Right? So it's not like como te llamas, rather como te llama, right? Where that double L is a sh, and llamas, instead of having that S, gets dropped off, right? It's not los muchachos buenos, los muchachos bueno, lo muchacho bueno, right? They're going to drop that S out. They're just going to ignore it. They're almost never going to say it. Specifically, the accent from Buenos Aires. Another really common feature of Argentinian Spanish, which is actually called Rioplatense Spanish, is the weakening of the R at the end of words, right? So, si quieres irte, si quiere irte, right? Te voy a hacer perdón might sound more like perdón. Kind of similar to the Dominican video if you haven't seen that one. The second thing I want to talk about is the idea of vos. So voceo is something that you find in Rioplatense Spanish. You also hear it, specifically you hear it in the speech of Nayib Bukele, who is El Salvador's president. I believe it's also present from Rica up to Guatemala. You'll hear it from some people. Not everybody uses it, right? But in Argentina, Uruguay, vos has come along to replace tu as the like informal you, right? They don't, next to each other. In other places, Central America, I believe there is a difference where like it's more like say this to your close buddy, right? Versus is like a little bit more formal, but not yet to the level of usted. Maybe it's the other way around. I don't remember. But I know that Argentina here, vos has just completely replaced it, right? And one of the characteristics of vos is what I'm gonna call like Italianized accent on Spanish, right? If you could imagine an Italian, but speaking Spanish, that is kind of the sound that Argentinian Spanish gives. Yo me llamo Anthony, yo soy de Buenos Aires. Yo vine de acá, de Italia en 1912, right? It's got like a really song-like canto to it. Like it's very pleasing for the most part as far as accents go. It's probably one of my favorites to listen to. The voceo does affect certain things. Specifically, it affects the enunciation, right? So with our like conjugations, tú hablas, tú comes, tú vives, the emphasis goes on the first syllable, right? The second to last syllable, I should say. Hablas, come, vives, right? In Argentina and with voceo, that accent is going to go on the last syllable. Habla, so like hablas, vos comes, and vos vivís. And one thing to notice is that here with vos, all we're going to do is just chop off that R, add an S, right? So that IR, instead of being vives with an E, is going to be VV with an I. And that, in turn, changes the commands. So it's not habla, it's habla. It's not come, it's come. It's not vive, it's vivi, right? And also, the word of ir, ve, just disappears and they replace it with andar, fruta de la tienda. Go buy fruit from the store, right? So, the big thing to remember with vos and voceo is I actually think it makes it kind of easier. Less stem changes to deal with. It's a little bit more regular in terms of like pronunciation. The commands make more sense. And I just think it's a little bit more simpler. You don't have to remember that ERs and IRs share the same endings. Here they have their own. It's the same pattern. We chuck off that R, put that emphasis on the last syllable. Habla, come, viví, right? And we've come up with the command / that second person. You did whatever. So now that we've covered the pronunciation differences and the idea of voceo, let's turn to the slang words that you need to know in Argentina in order to survive. And the first and most important is probably going to be che. Che is just an interjection to get somebody's attention. Che amigo, hey friend. Che me pasas, hey can you pass me the whatever. Che como estás, hey how are you, right? Just an interjection, but you will hear this word all the time, whether it's to say hello, grab your attention, to express like annoyance, right? The next word is boludo or boluda. Boluda literally means like they're stupid, right? But it's used kind of in Mexico. We use the word cabrón. Hey, ¿qué onda, cabrón? Che boludo, right? What's up, dummy? And obviously, if you say this to somebody you're not as friendly with, this might cause problems. Che boludo is probably not going to go over great if you're angry and saying it to somebody on the street. But when it's with your friend, that's totally fine, right? The Argentinians are super fond of you. They're going to pick your worst characteristic and make it your nickname. Like it's just a cultural thing. Like to kind of names and make fun of people. Right? The next word that we need is pibe or piba, which is just like general in Spanish of chico, chica. It just means boy or girl. Mira ese pibe, mira esa piba, right? Look at that guy, look at that girl. Next word we need is laborar, to labor. Just a word they use in Argentina instead of trabajar. And this is based on no research of my own. I'm just making this up as I think about it. Laborar probably came to be used in Argentina because in Italian they use the word lavorare, which is to work, right? And so they just adapted that word into Spanish and it became laborar. Laborar already existed, but it wasn't used in that sense of just like work. It was like to physically labor, like slaves labored on the pyramids kind of thing, right? Before in Argentina getting adopted as just to work. The next word that you're going to hear all the time is the word quilombo, which quilombo just means like mess, right? The party was a quilombo, the accident was a quilombo, work was a quilombo, right? It was all just a mess, right? You'll hear this word a lot. And then we have the intensifier word of re, right? So the word re, R-E, can be put before basically anything to give it like excessive or an exaggerated quality. Re rápido, re lento, re bonito, right? You can put it in front of just about anything. Kind of like in more standard Spanish, you might use the word muy bonito, muy rápido, muy whatever, right? In Argentina, they're going to use re, which I actually discovered this is also a feature in like rural dialects here in Mexico. It's kind of time here of uneducated speakers, but in Argentina, it's super normal as like exaggeration or an emphasis. Next up, we have the idea of la joda. La joda is party. Vamos de joda. Let's go party. There's going to be a party at Juan's house, right? Next up is the verb of bancar. Bancar is like support someone or back someone up, right? And I might say like, you go talk to the boss and you complain about, te banco, I'll back you up, right? Next up we have chabón or chabona, which is the same as pibe or piba, just another word for guy, girl. Then we have zarpado, zarpada, which is like, right? La joda estuvo zarpada. The party was crazy, the party was cool. And the last word I want to talk about is the word of morfar, which is just another word for comer, to eat, right? Live in Peru, they call it jamear. Some countries have a different word for it, but in Argentina, it's the verb of morfar. Cuando llegue a casa, morfar mucha comida, right? Something like that. Bueno chicos, muchas gracias por ver el video. Ojalá puedan entender un poco más los argentinos, sabrás un poco de su vocabulario y te sentirás más a gusto hablando con ellos. Recuerda, fíjate en la aspiración de la S al final, el uso del voceo. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you guys have any other ideas, leave them down in the comments. Be sure to use the link below in the description to sign up for your free verb tense cheat sheet to help you keep all these verb tenses in Spanish all together, as well as receive 7 days worth of emails to help supercharge your language learning. Be sure to like and subscribe. Leave down in the comments any other videos I should do, and I will see you in the next one. Adios.